What's up, everyone? Welcome to a compilation of the funniest clips from Season 1 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Remember to like the video at the end if you liked it, and hit that red subscribe button to stay up to date on reviews of other shows and movies. Also, be on the lookout for a complete season review of The Rings of Power, as well as the first installment of a series called How They Tried to Trick Us. Let's get into the video. Spoilers ahead for Season 1. You've been warned. Next, we get a brief intro to Sauron, who may end up being the good guy in this show if the main characters prove to be too annoying. Girl boss Galadriel knows exactly where to punch the ice to open doors, where they need to be searching, and the answer to every question her party dares to ask her. She easily cuts it down without breaking a sweat, and manages to strike 3 superhero action poses. Her company forms a mutiny and tells her she would need to go on herself. It's not like she's needed any of these people up to this point. Galadriel fights every fiber of her being to force a half-assed bow to a man. He goes into the local tavern where the entire scene practically vibrates with unspoken racism. Until it's literally spoken.
Oh, let it go, knife is.
He even hits him with a,
"You people."
I can't help but notice that none of the racist townfolk in the tavern are black. Real subtle, Amazon. In the smoldering crater left behind by the meteor crash, Nori sees her first naked homeless man. These refugees were shipwrecked by a sea monster 2 weeks ago that just so happens to show up 13 seconds later. Galadriel and the only normal-looking person on the raft escape about 10 feet away, where everything is suddenly safe and fine. Out of absolutely nowhere, Prince Durin is actually super butthurt that Elrond hasn't visited in 20 years as the emotional tone of the show swings wildly. Prince Durin introduces his wife, the Grammy Award-winning recording artist Lizzo. Durin has shifted from confident to jovial to wounded to mad to sad to friendly to thoughtful to gross and to goofy. He is all of the 7 dwarves from Snow White. Bronwyn and her son lose a game of hide-and-seek with an orc. Galadriel almost dies during a storm before she's saved by a man. She won't be too happy about that. Despite being unconscious just 4 seconds ago, she beats him back to the raft and helps him out of the water, so they're totally even now. Halbrand then celebrates the patriarchy by bumping dicks with the captain. We have to sit through a Disney princess scene of Galadriel riding a horse, and the look on her face is just weird. It looks like she's drenching that horse's back right now. Then he lights it up and tries to smoke it because he's still a homeless meth head. The people of Numenor are complaining that the one elf who has come to their kingdom has took our jobs. Galadriel, Karen of the Northern Armies, demands to speak to Numenor's manager, the king. Galadriel is let out of her cell. She proceeds to literally just shove the 4 guards that were surrounding her a second ago into the jail cell behind her in a scene so ridiculous the creators wisely chose to just cut away rather than show how this 112-pound woman pulled this off within the realm of physics. So basically, this Karen got Numenor canceled. Lizzo drops a new song called Diabetes Diva.
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch. You could have had a bad bitch.
What was that?
The Brandyfoots make the weird girl sing for them as they pass through Weedbrook. Oh, what a surprise, these earth-loving hippie hobbits had to make a stop through Weedbrook. Tits McGee tries to speak to Pharazôn and this guy just randomly blocks her for no reason. While trying to pick some fresh waffles from this tree, the Harfoots are attacked by wolves. Galadriel finally stops being a Karen, just so she can go back to being a Mary Sue. Pharazôn tells some women in the kitchen to go back even deeper into the kitchen. Half of the people at this table are women and they aren't allowed to speak during the meal, and then are forced to clean up afterward. Bad look, Amazon. Isildur saves Kemen, and then they're on the dock and Kemen is like, "Don't touch my leg, bro." In order to alleviate the tense, awkward mood, the old guy kills a teenager. Theo shows Elendil this magical butt plug, and Elendil literally just turns around and reveals the exact statue that can answer their questions. It's literally like 10 feet away. Woo! Finally, something is gonna happen in this show. Galadriel shows up late, of course, and makes everyone stop and watch her enter the ship, and mercifully, the episode comes to an end. Finally, some characters are moving. The refugees of the Southlands celebrate all the hard work they did by having Elendil take everyone out by himself. Galadriel brags about her vision as she talks about humility, the very thing she's lacked for 5 episodes. But lucky for our heroes, every single orc carries a torch to give away their position. Elendil's plot armor must feel pretty heavy. The old white guy now accepts Elendil and promises to stop using the N-word so much, but not completely. Everyone heads into the tavern for a quick round of drinks before the orcs begin their real attack. Elendil practices his pull-out game with Bronwyn, and of course Galadriel is out in front of everyone. Hey look, Galadriel's not in front for this part, how odd. And Ontimo gets intimate with an orc. Galadriel asks where the enemy commander is, and Amazon has Elendil and Theo just stare at her admirably, like there isn't a battle going on all around them. Adar goes through the torture of having to listen to Galadriel talk, and Adar claims he killed Sauron. Yeah, sure bro, I bet you have a girlfriend that goes to another school too. It's time to get wasted and party. Queen Muriel has the look of a true leader in the face of disaster. Galadriel is unfazed of course, and she takes a wave of molten pyroclastic flow to the face, and I doubt Amazon understands how volcanoes and pyroclastic flows work, so expect Galadriel to be totally fine next episode. We begin with Galadriel waking up after taking a wave of ash, fire, and molten mud burning at over 1,000 degrees to the face and being perfectly fine. Raise your hand if you saw that one coming. She sees a flaming horse, which is in no way a comment on the horse's sexual orientation, and she must feel like she's in hell, kinda like us viewers have been watching this show. Ontimo's lazy ass doesn't want to get up. Look at that quitter. They're dragging along wagons full of reefer they picked up in Weedbrook. The homeless stranger mutters to a tree in deranged homeless speak, and his meth rage kicks in as he tries to push it down on top of the Harfoots. He calls the king a short, bearded fuck before rubbing it in by getting on one knee to show him just how much bigger he is. Lizzo is hammering away, making a giant butter knife for herself so she can properly coat her monstrous portions. And Durin puts his hand right onto the molten metal, and Elendil tells him his son is dead. Is Ildor? More like was Ildor, and we learn that her vision is gone. And Elendil is here to rub it in.
I see.
Do you?
Now that the smelly people are gone, this flower comes out of hiding, and like all homeless people, he takes it and leaves without saying thanks. Theo, now in blackface, tells Galadriel it wasn't her fault, it was his. Gal and Theo are forced to hide from an orcish patrol, but Theo's farts are giving them away.
What is it? What do you smell?
Durin's managed to carve out a glory hole in the mine, but there's no dong on the other side, just sweet, sweet mithril. Elendil frees Isildur's horse Beric, who runs off to go save Isildur because no one else has any interest in doing so. Elendil's fine too, but not happy that Theo did blackface earlier. Everyone stops to acknowledge Galadriel's strength and independence, and she demands to see the queen instead of showing an ounce of emotion at these people's suffering or survival. Galadriel then borrows tears from someone else who is able to show emotion, and they roll down her face. The queen calls for Captain Elendil, but he's pulling a prank on her by not responding. And he can barely hold back tears, it's so funny. Her racist dad calls her a lazy N-word, and everyone heard it. Queen Muriel stands on the prow to navigate their ship home using only her sense of smell. And everyone cheers the king they didn't know 90 minutes ago in the last episode. And the king promptly abandons his people. I mean, the actress was twitching her eyes a little bit in one scene, which I think was supposed to be one of the many emotions you could choose from, and I was laughing out loud, it was so bad. Isildur's horse has shown more emotion in 30 seconds of screen time than Galadriel has in 7 episodes, during which she's on screen for half of each and every episode. Galadriel is riding in slow motion, because the world needs to move on her time frame. Elrond says let's give up when Galadriel arrives because obviously the world can't be saved without her. The king is dying so he won't have to suffer another season of this show. King Gil-galad tells Galadriel the one thing we're all thinking after that volcano.
You should not be standing here at all.
Galadriel practices her staring at nothing to keep sharp for season 2. Galadriel is really visibly pouring out all of her emotions. He starts meth raging, and the gender-free individual blows some coke in his face to calm him. Psych! They them switched to he-him and became the stranger. They shove back the homeless stranger using the power of anti-vagrancy laws. Homeless guy has chosen this critical moment to pass out in public. 75% of the Harfoots are okay. Sadik chooses to die rather than be in this show anymore. Elendil comes in to mock the blind queen.
7, 8.
It's 9.
The queen looks Elendil in the eyes, just right in the eyes, and says some meaningful stuff. Celebrimbor lets out a fart he's been holding in for 400 years.
What has happened?
Galadriel reads the script that says to stare off into the distance without a trace of emotion. Halbrand looks down at the copy of How to Spot Sauron she was reading. Galadriel does her eye-twitching thing again. She tries to kill Elrond because his squished face scared her, and the eye-twitching returns. Nori gets kicked out after they find her stash of weed, so she joins the stranger in homelessness. Galadriel begrudgingly gives up her dagger at the command of the patriarchy. Just consume next episode, citizen.